Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We have been working on not one, but two Stern Dracula pinball machines, and for our buddy Shane. And this one we've pretty much got up and doing its thing. We did several videos on it. If you haven't seen those yet, go back and check it out. But we are up to the Playfield. We need to work on the Playfield. So this is the condition that it is in now. Everything looks pretty good down here. We're going to basically leave this alone, of course, clean it. Look how there's a face in the Playfield. Ooh, it's freaky. I'm kind of freaked out. And then you get up here. The pop bumper caps are a little toasty, a little bit. Right? And then you get up here to under the pop bumper where that flipper is. There's some wear. There is actually a plastic missing off the top up there. And looks kind of rough there to the right of the pop bumper. The pop bumper is the wrong type. And the top left plastic is missing. So we've got issues. So I'm going to have Joey strip this thing down and clean it up. And then we're going to paint in some of that area that's missing up there. The blue. It's not a bunch, but the blue, and then we might do a little bit, it'll probably be just the blue, maybe a little bit of the black lines, but this is what we're starting with, so I'll get Joey to start taking it apart and we'll see how it turns out once he gets it all cleaned up. Alright, so here's how it turned out after cleaning it up. So we got to touch up some paint, and then of course there's more cleaning to do, and then we got to put everything back on it. There's only a couple areas I'm going to mess with as far as painting. You know, this thing's in pretty decent shape. If you go too far, you're going to notice that it's been touched up all over the place. Some people, they would rather just touch everything up. So I understand that. So if that's your way of doing it, that's fine. But I don't like doing it like that. I like just touching up a little bit here and there wherever it's really obvious that there's wear. So for instance, that has got to go. Got to touch that up. So I'm going to get rid of that blue. Or repaint that blue. It's going to be super simple. Now, if I get a color match that's anywhere near there. Now, if I'm doing that, I might as well do a little bit of that plinking right up there above it. Okay. Remember, this pop bumper we're going to completely replace. It's the wrong one. They used the wrong body for it. We need the dead pop bumper, not the pop bumper body. So we need the dead bumper body. So I'll do the blue a little bit. Okay. So then you've got the cats over here. There's a little bit of planking in that. And the only part that you really see is the red. So I'm going to touch up the black lines on those. And then maybe touch up the red a little bit just to make it look a little more presentable and hide that, you know. So I'm going to mess with that. I think I'm going to touch up just the black right here because it's right in the middle of the playfield and you can kind of tell it just makes that area look a little worn. That's actually like a face, if you look. So we're going to touch that up, make the black look a little bit better. And then this area here where the flipper has rubbed on the playfield, if you clear coat that, it makes it look a little better. So basically whenever you touch up the paint, you have to clear coat over it. So I'm going to just spot clear coat just that one little area with spray paint, rattle can clear coat. And when I do that, I'll do a little bit down here too, just to get a little clear on that so that it'll hopefully darken that up to where you can't see it quite as much. So that spot, both of those will be very minor. And then this spot up here, try to make that look a little bit better. So let me see if I can get a good match for the blue, and we'll go from there. Okay, folks, so whenever I repaint these, I've got an entire box of acrylic paint that I've bought. And so these are just some of the blues I've got. I've got a bunch more too. They're like $1 a bottle. And so every once in a while I go buy like $50 or $60 worth of the stuff. And then I've got every color under the sun. So I have tried to find one that matches that blue up there. And these ones down here are all a little off. And then I came to the conclusion that these two over here on the right are pretty close. Now, I've got the benefit of when I look through the camera, for some reason, the camera sees things that my eyes don't see. Like to me, here looking at this is like a complete trip, right? This looks about right, but it's just a little bit light. But on the camera, that looks way too light. And I've figured out that the camera doesn't really lie. This one, here in person, looks way too dark to my naked eye. But the camera makes it look like it's almost perfect. Right? Then I've got this one. It looks close to my naked eye and it looks close to the camera. And then there's this one. So to my naked eye, it looks a little bit too dark. But on the camera, it looks almost perfect. And what I'm looking at the wet paint inside the bottle, the liquid paint through the plastic ring. It typically dries a little darker. So I think we're going to try that one first and just see. I don't know. Should I second guess the camera? It almost seems like it's in between those. Well, we'll just try a little bit and see. And this one is the ever useful True Blue. Let's try True Blue. This other one is Vivid Blue. Well, we're probably not looking for Vivid. Vivid probably won't stand out. So we'll try a little True Blue on that little segment there and see how close of a match it is. It doesn't need to be perfect, but we need it where your eye is not immediately drawn to that. Okay, so the True Blue looked a little light to me whenever I put it on. So I put on the Vivid Blue, but guess what? It was too vivid. So all of this stuff has greened a little bit over time. I used to think that it had yellowed, but it seems like when you're mixing the paint, you get better results if you mix in green instead of yellow. So I put just a little teeny bit of green in the Vivid Blue, and it came out, it looked pretty good, but it was a little bit too dark. So I took this Sweet Sapphire, well, for all you Dusty Rhodes fans out there, I took this Sweet Sapphire and mixed a little bit of it in, and to me that looks pretty good. I can still see it, you know, so I don't know if it's perfect. Whenever we clear it, the sheen will be the same, you know, like we're going to hit it with a little bit of satin clear, and so it'll all kind of be the same sheen, and we'll just see how close it looks. It'll probably be pretty close. So that's about to the best of my ability here. So I'm going to show you how to do the smear technique. And it's not like whenever a politician talks crap about another politician, but they're really the ones doing it and they're projecting. Been a lot of that lately. It's not that smear technique. The paint smear technique. Now, I already did it. I took some of that blue that I mixed and I did it up here. So what I did was, whenever you have an area like this where there's just certain little pieces that are messed up, and we're just going to do this one little piece here, very minor. Instead of painting it, if you take a color that's pretty close to that, it doesn't have to be perfect, and I always say you would prefer it to be a little bit darker or dead on. Either dead on, or if you're going to be off, make it a little bit darker. You just paint it over the area. And now, by the way, I got this from Clay at pinrepair.com. See how you can see the sheen difference there? See how that looks real flat, and this has a satin sheen to it? When we clear it, that you won't be able to tell. I got this from Clay at pinrepair.com, who, you know, basically we learned all of our pinball knowledge from, because he was nice enough to put the stuff online for free for everybody to figure out. You take a little red paint and you just kind of smear it over this area, and then once you paint it on, while it's still wet, you take a paper towel and wipe it off. And what that'll do is it will wipe the paint off, and this is acrylic paint. It will wipe the paint off the areas that are painted, but it will leave the paint in the areas that are screwed up. So I'll show you how to do it. You're basically just rubbing paint in the flaked away areas, right? And then you have to put a little clear coat over it. All of this up here, we're not going to try to get that perfect. It's just, you know, it's one of those things where you end up chasing your tail for hours and hours trying to make it perfect. We're not going to do that. It's not necessary. And I know Shane would be down with it. I know Shane's cool with it. We are going to repaint the black line, so that'll make it look a lot better. But I already did the smear technique up here, and all of the blue is gone. So let me set up the camera, and I'll show you how I do it. It's very simple. Just takes a second. All right, folks. So the color I'm going to use is called True Red. Similar to the True Blue we used earlier. Let me shake it up a little bit. Shake your yoo-hoo. It just seemed like it was a pretty... It don't even have to be a great match. You just want it to be something similar. And it's red. It's a true red. So we're just going to put a little red on it. Right. You don't have to be real careful. Something like this. Now I've seen pictures on Clay's site where he did, like, you know, major areas of the playfield like this. So basically, we want that to stick in the areas that are cracked and to wipe off of the areas that are not cracked. So how does that look on the camera? Let me see. It looks pretty good to you folks, but it doesn't look that good here in person. So, like from your vantage point, you just leave it like that, you know, because it looks good. But you can't see how it looks here. Here it looks kind of splotchy. You can tell that it's a different color. So all you do is you take a paper towel and you just kind of rub some of it off. You're basically just getting the extra that's not down in the cracks back off. And just a little bit came off on the towel. So, and that wasn't a great example, but it ended up looking pretty good, so I guess I don't have to redo it. So you can do the same with the orange and all of that. But to where I'm looking, there's very minor wear up there. The only thing that really stood out to me was that red. So I think it looks a hell of a lot better now. So now what we need to do is ink some of the black lines back in. So to do that, I use some little acrylic paint pens. You do everything in acrylic because then you can clear coat over it. If you do it with a Sharpie, you will regret it. Now you might get away with a Sharpie like one time. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, I did mine with a Sharpie. Everything was cool. That was your one time, buddy. That was your one time. So what happens when you use a Sharpie is, whenever you put clear on it, the solvent in the clear, or whatever it is that makes it work, interacts with whatever the crap is in a Sharpie and makes it run. Now, I love Sharpie. Sharpie's an American company, I think, right? So I love Sharpie, but it's not a good idea on pinball machines. So what I use are, let me see if I can show them all. You're above the top. Okay. Bam! You should be able to see that. Uni Posca acrylic paint pens. These are cheap. They're like $1 or $2. And it's acrylic paint. Uni is, I believe, a French company. Yeah, it's French. France. And the name of the company is Mitsubishi Pencil. And it uses, according to them, Japanese ink. So I don't know how all that happened. You know, Mitsubishi is a famous Japanese company. Let me get the flow a little bit. Now you can do this as good or as bad as you want. It always blows my mind when people leave me comments insulting me, telling me I didn't do it right. I should have done it this way. Well, you know, you can do it that way. I'm not telling you have to do it this way. I'm just saying this is how I do it. Alright, so a little bit of that acrylic paint and it looks a heck of a lot nicer. Let me do one more. Let me do the red one since we've been screwing around with that. I can't see that great. The camera is right in the way. Now this one, a lot of the paint is gone, but I can kind of see on the insert where the paint was. On these inserts too, you will often find that the paint is not silk screened correctly. It's not aligned properly. What do they call that? They call it registration. You'll see that the registration is off. So, for instance, I'm drawing this part on the actual insert, and on the other side a lot more of it's on the actual playfield because the insert is not centered perfectly like it was designed. Okay, so, you know, that's about the best I'm going to do freehand. You can go as like I said, you can spend as much time as you want on this. You can actually get little stencils and put on it, and with you can cut them on a vinyl plotter so they're just absolutely perfect. I got to be honest with you. To me, if I get it pretty close, I'm very happy with it. Now, some of the customers might not be, but I've never had one of them say anything. So, but at the end of the day, this is what I'm capable of reasonably, you know. Yeah, I could probably get stencils and everything, but that would, I'm so slow whenever I do these, that would take me much longer. And I'm already taking forever as it is, you know. So anywhere you have something, you know, a black line that needs touched up, these little Uni Posca pins work great. You can buy these on my website. Go to lionsarcade.com. We've got links to them on Amazon where you can just go click them and buy them. Like I said, they're cheap. And if you buy anything on Amazon, if you follow one of our links to Amazon, it puts a little tracking thing in the URL or on your computer. I don't know. You've already got things tracking you on your computer anyway, people. Think how much trouble I'm in for talking bad about politicians a couple minutes ago. I mean, they're definitely coming after me. So it might give you a little cookie, one of those cupcakes or whatever they call it. But somehow it can tell that I sent you to Amazon. And anything you buy after you click that link, I get a commission for. So that's one of the ways that you can support our channel. But you don't have to buy these. You can go there and buy, you know, I don't know. You could go, I'll tell you what you could buy. Go buy yourself a hardback copy of the book Dracula. I mean, you're all into this pinball machine or you wouldn't be watching this part of the video. So you must be all into it. Go buy Dracula if you haven't read it yet. It's a freaking great book. Yeah, it's 150 years old or 130 years old. It's 130 years old, but it really holds up. It's really good. You'd like it. All right, I'm going to ink in the rest of the black, and then we'll see how it turns out. All right, so that's how it came out after I put the clear on it. We haven't waxed it yet. You can see a little bit of texture difference where I touched up the blue. I've never really been able to overcome that. You can thin it, but then you have to put like 20 coats on it. So I haven't came up with a good way to do that yet. Down here, and again, we haven't waxed it yet. Around the advanced bonus, I touched up the black a little bit, the mouth of the face there, the Tiger Man. And then the place where the flipper's dragging, it did darken that up just a little bit. The wax may help it even some more. So I think we touched it up pretty good. So we'll get Joe to put some wax on it and start putting it back together. Now, if you do get flippers that are doing that, like that one up there is dragging, and this one down here was dragging, that's because the bushing is worn out that goes through the Playfield, so you need to replace that, or at least bend the flipper shoe or something. You need to address that, or it's just going to do it again. And it'll especially do it again if you clear part of the paint. It'll make it thicker. It'll be even easier for it to scrape it. So, but that's how it turned out. So I think, to my eyes, up there above that flipper, it's almost perfect. It looks really good with those bats and the cats. I think it came out nice. The blue is a pretty good match, but like I said, you can see the texture of it where it's thicker than the paint that's flat on the Playfield. So that's always where I can't quite get it perfect, but the color's good. All right, so let's wax it and put it all back together. world is that? Look at this. All of the flippers wobble. Because the screw's not tight. I don't know what in the world that's all about. That'll make one drag to Playfield, won't it? So I'm going to tighten that up. And then the other thing I've been doing lately, I don't know on these old freaking pinball machines what the deal is with this, but see this little hip there? That is supposed to sit on the Playfield bushing. So I looked at the Playfield bushings and they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're the same size as a brand new one. I don't know if this is the one for it, but see this little hip up here? So basically this is attached through the Playfield. So this is screwed on the bottom of the Playfield. And it sits like this. And so what actually keeps it above the Playfield is the top of this bushing. But the ones that are in there are fine. But you can see how there's a bunch of play in it because of that screw, right? But that shouldn't allow it to go too low. But what can happen is the whole thing can get bent where the tip of it's bent down. And still, it shouldn't be rubbing the Playfield. But so what I've been doing is to make it sit just slightly higher on the Playfield, I've been putting a little washer on it. And now it'll sit just slightly higher, just barely, the width of that washer. So I'll tighten that up and put a little washer on it, and that will raise it up just barely so that it won't hit the Playfield at all. And we'll take care of our drag problem where it's cutting the paint off the Playfield that we just went through so much trouble to fix up. All right, you cannot tell if it's anything like this camera image that I'm looking at. You cannot tell the shape this thing is in. But the back glass looks really good. It lights up very nice. It's actually the one off machine number 2. If you saw the first video where we went over the two different ones. Machine 2. So the back glass looks very nice. The LED displays look very nice. The chick looks horrified. I don't know. She might be kind of into him. She's kind of got that look on her face like, oh no, don't throw me in the briar patch. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we'll play it a little bit. Now, I'm only going to play it a little bit because we've got another one we have to do, you know. And I get the worst comments on my gameplay videos, so I don't think it's helping you or me. This game, by the way, designed by the great Harry Williams, the guy that founded Williams Pinball. So he was an older gentleman. He's, you know, in his 70s when he designs this game. This was one of the short version of the story. Williams Pinball was started by Harry Williams. He designed hundreds of pinball machines during his lifetime. Created the great Williams Pinball that everybody knows and loves. After 15 years or so, he hires a guy who was an operator named Stern. What was Stern? What was Old Man Stern's name? Not Gary, but his father. Sam. He hired a gentleman named Sam Stern, and the two of them ran Gottlieb together. Ran Williams together as co-owners, and they got along great. Eventually, the company gets sold out to someone, and Harry Stern basically retires. He actually went and worked for Bally for a little bit, but not Harry Stern. Williams, Harry Williams, goes and works for Bally for a little while, believe it or not. It's almost like he was mad or something, I don't know. But anyway, eventually, Chicago Coin goes out of business, and Sam Stern and his son Gary Stern buy Chicago Coin, and then they talk Harry Williams into designing some more games. This is one of them. So he was known for having these just weird playfield layouts. So this one has this really cool loop into a flipper into the drop targets up there. And I happen to miss every one of them. Oh, look at that. It has the delayed drop just to tease you. This is a little skill shot for you. Oh. That top one I've seen brick before. That's why I don't like the gameplay videos. Everybody goes, "Ah, the light bulb twinkled a little bit. It hurt my butt." I just... Okay, so I didn't tell you what was wrong with the 3 targets. You saw this one work, right? You saw the left sling work, and that works, and the spinner works if I could ever hit it. It was not the cap, it was U10, the 6821 PIA. Swapped it, now she's good. Huh? Yeah, I've been watching that. I'm figuring it out. See how this drop target is lit? I didn't hit it. What's that? And I've got 500 points. That keeps happening. So I got my eye on that. I'm not turning it down, people. Okay, now see how the drop target, the second drop target, has 2 lights lit? That shouldn't be possible. It shouldn't work like that. So you got to knock down all 4, and then they reset. And then once they reset, you can get the bat lights. But for some reason, it's doing a light just out of nowhere. Now, if you look at the switch is fine. It's nowhere near touching. So I'm still working on that. Now the thing with the scoring, just going and going and going, that's an early Stern thing. Some of the early Williams games did that too, solid state. Basically, it's scoring and it wants to go boop, 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 and let you know that it's scoring, but it will only do that at a certain speed. So sometimes, depending on what you score... Oh, look at that. It's giving me 500 points for nothing for some reason. So that line is short enclosed or something. So that might be a cap, but that's a different line. Could be well, I don't know if the diode would do that. So there's something going on with that. So we're gonna keep our eye on that. It's that second drop target. But the scoring thing being slow, that's an early solid state thing. Sometimes if you get scoring a lot and you hit like 3 targets that are 500 points each, it wants to go do 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 do, and by that time you've hit something that's 1,000 and it gets all backed up. So you can stop the ball and it'll just keep scoring because it's still adding up stuff that you hit. Williams game, a lot of Williams games are really bad about that. So I don't know what. Beautiful spinner shot. Now the spinner is Dracula coming out of his coffin. It's pretty cool. That took quite a while to get that. I think I'm cheating. Woo! What a shot. That spinner's awesome. It's just smooth, man. Harry Williams was the man on some of this stuff. That's why I hate these videos, these gameplay videos, because I get all these pricks going, oh, no, he wasn't. I wasn't any good. I don't like him. It's just, yeah, negative people. I did a video the other day about the Roto Target. And this one guy comes up, well, the Roto Target sucks. Just, you know, like, how about keep your opinion to yourself? If you don't like something, just don't tell anybody. Why you just gotta bring everybody else down? If I'm telling you that I like Harry Williams games, and you think, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. Harry Williams wasn't any good. Why the hell would you tell me? Like, what the hell is wrong with people? So these videos aren't as fun as they used to be, especially the gameplay ones. There's a big time YouTuber in our neck of the woods, we'll say, who stopped making videos. And I've seen tons of people say, I wonder why that guy quit. I can tell you exactly why that guy quit. I can tell you exactly why he quit. Because of pricks, that's why he quit. You hit the drop target and it didn't drop one time. I saw it. If you rewind to this, what are you going to do about it? Why did you release the video like that? It's not right. I'd want my money back. Trying to get that nice spinner shot. There we go. All right. Yeah, I think the extra 500 points is inflating my score. Next time you get a chance, I prefer leads. I prefer regulars. This pinball's not as good as A, B, C, D, whatever the hell. You didn't film it right. Why'd you do this? I don't like the glass on. I don't like the glass off. I don't like the lights on. I don't like the lights off. Hold my hand. That was that skill. It may have finally bit the dust, whatever it is. What the hell? What in the world? There's something going on. It's got to be a board problem. There's still something on that MPU that's not right. I think we're getting, well, I put it in switch test and I was not getting any phantom switch closures, so I don't know. We're gonna have to keep our eye on that. You see that? I didn't even hit nothing. Okay. Yeah, something's not right. See how the last drop target doesn't have the light lit up? So they shouldn't have reset. I'm just here for the spinner shot, people. Look at that. God. Never gets old. The left ones never do it. And mystery bonus advance. All right, so there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna have to continue working on this thing electronically. It's just not quite right. We've got our whole other one we have to do, though. So once we get that one done, we can do things like swap the boards and see if, you know, this MPU does the exact same thing in that game, or if it follows the Playfield or what. So that'll help us troubleshoot it. So I'll film some of that. But this next one, I'm going to go a lot faster through because a lot of it's going to be the same stuff. And
for you, and I'll see you on the next one.